I quit my job to go all in on music back in 2016, and honestly I never looked back. It was probably one of the best decisions of my life. In the years after, I've been able to completely live off of my music, and it's one of my biggest personal achievements in life. But when I actually made that step to quit my job, I wasn't really prepared for what was to come. I went through a sort of a transition phase, getting confronted with what it was really like when you do music full-time. It was something that you cannot really understand until you actually make that step. And after going through this, I suddenly realized why so many people fail in the music industry, especially those who went all in on music and left everything behind to pursue their dreams. So today, I'll be sharing some unique insights that you can only experience when you actually make that crucial decision of quitting your job to go all in on music. But before we jump in, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I got a ton of videos coming out soon to help you build a career in music. At the time that I quit my job, I was selling beats online, and I did that for about 3 years. Basically, I was licensing my music to independent artists who would end up making songs to my instrumentals. I was making a pretty decent amount of money with this as a side hustle. And one of the reasons that I quit my job is because, well, I hated it, but also I felt a certain urge to spend more time on music, which is pretty common for musicians, right? But luckily, I already had several sources of income related to music. I sold beats online, plus I did live shows as a musician, and at the time I also started making some money mixing songs for my artists. But to be completely honest with you, I'll admit I also got kind of caught up in the whole do or die, all or nothing type mindset. I was like, if I really want to do this, if I really want to go into music, I needed to go all in on this. Now, the thing is though, I actually had a pretty good job. I was the head of the logistics department at a multi-million-dollar company at the age of 25. It's not an exciting job at all, but it paid well. I had been with this company for about 8 years, and I worked my way up from being an intern, then forklift chauffeur, then supervisor, and ultimately I became the head of the logistics department. So it's not that I really hated it that much, it's just that at some point you start gaining interest in something else, right? An opportunity arises. Now, for some that may be a different job opportunity. For me, it was my music. Being relatively young at the time, I still didn't have my own place. So my goal was to buy a house, use my recent promotion to get a mortgage, and then quit. And it happened in that exact order. And everyone around me thought I was crazy. I was one of the quote-unquote lucky ones in my circles. I had a good job, especially for someone at my age. I had a sustainable income, plus I had just signed the mortgage deal for my house, right? Why would you throw this away to pursue a career in music? So a lot of people got involved, my parents, family members, friends, even some colleagues worried about what the hell I was thinking. But the funny thing is though, there was only one person that really understood me and supported my decision. And funny enough, this was the actual owner of the company itself. This was the man who had given me the job in the first place. But he was an entrepreneur. And sure, he addressed his concerns, but after I told him my plans, this wise man, he shook my hand, he was like, good luck. You'll be fine. So I had a few months to finish up, and then the day finally came. My last day at the company that I practically grew up at. They were nice enough to throw me a party. We went paintballing and they put me in a bunny suit to make fun of me one last time. It was fun. And then the actual moment came. I was free. I did it, full-time music producer. Look at me now. Now, to tell you the truth, I left a few things out of this story. First of all, I wasn't nearly making enough money consistently. In fact, the day that I put in my resignation, I was down to making less than $400 a month. And the little money that I saved up, it was pretty much all spent on the house. And it wasn't even enough. I literally sold beats in the morning for like $300, and then I would cash it out in the afternoon only to buy some new furniture for the house. And you may be thinking, that's just stupid. You don't have to tell me that, you're right. Luckily, before I actually left the company, I was back at making over $3,000 a month, enough to get by for me at that time. But if you thought this video was going to be about how to prepare yourself financially before you quit your job, that's not it. It's pretty common that you need to save up before you quit your job. Don't be stupid like me. The whole transition period, however, that's what taught me a valuable lesson about what I call the context of currency. You see, you can prepare all you want in terms of finances and saving up money, but you cannot really prepare for this. So let me explain. The context in which we earn money, that can dramatically shift its perceived value, and no money in your savings account should be the fix for this. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're working a regular job, pulling in $3,000 a month, and you manage to make an extra $2,500 on the side from your music. That additional income it feels like a significant win. It's like a bonus, right? It's like a cherry on top. But let's flip the script. If you decide to leave that steady job to pursue your side gig full time, then suddenly that $2,500, it doesn't really seem like a win no more. Instead of viewing it as an extra $2,500, you might now see it as a shortfall of $500 from what you used to earn, right? It's the same money, but its significance is entirely transformed. To give you a different example, I will never forget the moment that I sold my first beat for $20. That first sale, it literally changed my whole life. It gave me all the motivation I needed to grind and work harder. But I wonder sometimes, what if I was doing music full time already? Would that same $20 still had such an impact on the rest of my career? Now, so far, I'm sure you're following along. Now let's talk about the repercussions of this theory. Stress. First of all, the passion that once drove you to create music freely, that can suddenly be weighed down by, I don't know, financial pressures or deadlines. There's a risk that the very thing that you loved becoming a source of stress. Creative block. What once started as creative expression might start to feel like work. So instead of making music purely for the joy of it, you might find yourself altering your style to cater to what's commercially viable. This shift can lead to creative block or even burnout if not managed properly. Business decisions. When you shift from seeing that $2,500 as a bonus to then viewing it as a loss, it directly impacts the decisions that you're making. Because suddenly there's an urgency to increase revenue streams, maybe even at the risk of compromising on the quality of your products, your music, or whatever service you're offering. This kind of pressure can also cloud judgment, making impulsive decisions such as hasty investments or trying to cut corners. Now, on the upside, I'll admit, dedicating full time to your passion also has a lot of benefits. You see, with more time and energy invested, there's of course a lot of potential for exponential growth. Plus, doing something that you truly love will obviously bring fulfillment and happiness to your life, which is ultimately way more important than money anyway. And I actually say this from personal experience because I went through pretty much all the phases, from getting stressed out about not making enough money, making music that I didn't even like making. It led me to creative block, making the wrong decisions, and eventually I even burned out. Even though I had pretty good success turning my passion for music into a business, a few years ago I started to realize that I had completely lost my passion for music in the process, which is still something that I'm struggling with today. So that's why I want to give you some advice and some different perspectives when you make these kinds of decisions in your journey. So here are a few things that you need to think about before going into music full time. First of all, only quit your job when you already make enough money to sustain. And I know it seems obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people gamble with that do or die, all or nothing approach and then fail. These people may be some of the best writers, musicians, or artists. This has nothing to do with their talents. They just made poor life decisions without having a solid backup plan. Which brings me to savings. In my opinion, savings should only be used as a backup plan, not treated as runway to fund your little music adventure. I mean, sure, in some cases, having some runway can be good and it can take the stress off when transitioning to a full-time music career. But if you're just gonna be like, I saved up enough money to get by for the next 3 months just so you have more time to make music, that's only a plan if you have a business plan, a solid idea on how you plan on making money with your music, and have gotten the results to back it up. Don't quit your job if you just want more time to make music. You see, unless you get paid by the hour for your services, this is not really a valid reason. Just because you love doing something in your free time, it doesn't really mean that you would love it as a full-time job. You see, the pressures and the requirements, it can be very different. Honestly, you have no idea what you're actually stepping into until you actually do it. So if you need more time to spend on your music, you may want to start off giving up on other things in life to make more time to make music first. Then learn the necessary skills first. It's not hard to learn what skills are needed to succeed in your industry. It kind of depends on what you're going for, I guess. But in my case, I was selling beats online. And in that industry, it's not just about making beats. You need to learn the basics of marketing, sales, email marketing, customer relationships, cold outreach, stuff like that. Learning this takes a significant amount of time, but you could easily pick this up next to a job. And then 5, make a schedule. If you quit your job, you may want to make a schedule to fill in your days and weeks, especially if you've been used to working a full-time job. That transition to working independently, that can really become a challenge. because you're missing some sort of structure in your life. So filling your days with business tasks, marketing tasks, music production, and even free time, that can help you get into proper routines and daily structure. And finally, for most people, transitioning to a part-time job is probably a good and better first step to take. So consider starting there. Trust me, you'll be appreciating your own hard work and results way more. So I hope you liked this video. If you have any more tips or stuff that I perhaps missed, drop them in the comments below. Show us some support, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on IG. It's Robin Wesley.